Hey everybody, welcome to my tutorial series on Europa Universalis 4. I'm making this video because I felt like there's sort of a lack of up-to-date tutorial videos in this game that deal with some of the newer content from like the newer DLCs, the newer patches. As you can see, I've got all of the DLC up to this point, the major DLC installed: Art of War, Conquest of Paradise, El Dorado, Res Publica, Wealth of Nations, Women in History, not really major DLC, but I've got it. I've got it today, yeah. Neither of my mods are working because of the 1.11 or 1.10.1 patch, but I generally only use tooltip font mod, which just increases the font size on the tooltips, so it's not really a big deal. So without further ado, let's start a new game as Portugal. I'm going to check Iron Man mode. Iron Man mode basically makes it so that you have, like you can see on the tooltip there, one save pot file per game. It saves automatically at the beginning of every month. You can't use cheat codes, you can't switch countries. You can like release a subject nation and play as them, but you can't like switch from, say, Portugal to Spain. You can't do that. And it basically makes it so you can't save scum, and it enables you to get Steam achievements on Steam, which is pretty cool. So we're going to start off as Portugal and hit play. Now you can see we can either save to the cloud or save locally. I'm just going to save to the cloud. I'm going to call this save game Portugal. Alright, so right off the bat you can see that we have some notifications pop up in the corner. These are important, but we're not going to really focus on them, at least in this video. You can also see that the default map mode is the terrain view, which is pretty. You can see the Alps, you can see the Russian winter, because it's November 11th, 1444, but really there's not a whole lot that really helps you in this map mode. So if you go down here to the right corner, the map modes that I have set as my normal map modes are simplified terrain, which shows the terrain type in each province. Political map mode, opinion map mode, which shows everybody's opinion of you. Supply limit, which shows like how many troops each province can sort of take without causing attrition to your army, where you like lose troops every month. Diplomatic map mode kind of shows your allies. It'll show if you're at war with somebody. I'm not at war with anybody right now. And unrest map mode, which shows where you have unrest. I probably don't have any unrest anywhere except maybe down here. Yeah, I got a little bit of unrest down here. You can't even really see it. But if you want to change any of these to something that you like better, you can just hit more map modes. Right click on one of the ones that's set, and then right click on what you want to replace it with. You can see that got replaced there. I'm going to keep it how I like it. And we're going to switch to political map mode. So up here in the upper left corner, you see Portugal's flag. Same flag that's going to be on all of our armies and all of our fleets. But if we click on this, it brings up the main sort of information box of the game. You can see right here that our current government type is a feudal monarchy, which means that our rulers reign until death, and then their heir takes over. So it's going to list your current ruler here and your heir down here. Now technically, our heir right now is Alfonso de Avis. He's only 12 years old. He's got a strong claim to the throne, which basically means that we're not going to lose a whole lot of legitimacy when he comes to the throne, because he has a strong claim to it. Everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, he should be king. Cool. Technically, this is our current ruler, which is actually a regency council for Alfonso de Avis. It's going to end in about 2 years when he turns 15. It has different stats than Alfonso. You can see this is 421, and his stats are actually 322. What this is monarch points. Monarch points are pretty much the most important mechanic in the entire game. They basically control what you can do, when you can do it, how much you can do, and this is the basis for how many you make per month. It's based on who your ruler is, how skilled they are as a ruler, basically. Down here you see how much you're actually making in a month in monarch points. So we're making 6 administrative points, 7 diplomatic points, and only 2 military points. And if you hover over each of them, a little tooltip pops up that tells you where they're getting those numbers from. That's basically true of everything in the entire game. If I were to go to trade, and then I hover over my mercantilism stat, it tells me the information on my mercantilism. Basically anything in the game, every time you hover over a province or an army or anything, it'll show you a tooltip with information on it. But getting back to monarch points, you can see that we have a base value of monarch points of 3. That's the same for every single category. You get a base of 3 per month. On top of that, you add on the skill of your ruler in that area. So our Regency Council skill in administrative is 4. 3 plus 4 is 7, and then we subtract 1 from that from National Focus. National Focus is a way to sort of, well, basically focus your monarch points in a particular area. For whatever reason, when you start off as Portugal, you're focusing on diplomatic right away. So what that does is it takes 1 point away from military, 1 point away from administrative, and then it adds 2 onto diplomatic. So you're not losing any net points, but you're focusing them on an area where you want to get more points. Sometimes I'll do that if I have a ruler that's particularly weak in one category, like our Regency Council here is very weak in diplomatic and in military, so you might want to focus on diplomatic or military. Or maybe you're behind on tech, or you're behind on ideas in one of the categories and you want to get more points in that, you can focus on it. It's not necessary to focus, but it's helpful sometimes. So what do you do? What do you do with monarch points? You can see these are our total for our monarch points. Up here we've got 84 admin, 98 diplo, and 40 military. This is like kind of our bank of monarch points. The main thing that you do with monarch points is you tech up your technology. Administrative technology, very important. Military technology, very important. Diplo is still important, but it's a little bit less than those two, and I'll tell you why in a second. Really, it's because of how important administrative and military are. You can see here that we're on level 3 administrative, we're actually on level 3 everything right now, and our next level is level 4, which gives us national ideas. Excuse me. We've got level 4 Diplo, and it's going to give us 2 buildings that we can build, plus it's going to increase our trade range by a little bit. And then for our military tech, it's going to give us another building we can build. It's going to give us some higher military tactics, and it's going to give us some higher army morale. The reason that military is important is because of stuff like this, military tactics and land morale. If you're behind on tech, then you're going to have lower morale than somebody else. You're going to have lower tactics than somebody else. You might have not as good units as somebody else, because you can also get units when you level up your military. And they're probably going to kick your butt when you go to war with them. It's just not good. It doesn't matter so much if you're, say, Portugal and you're trying to go to war against South American Indians, but it does matter if you're Portugal and you're trying to go to war with the Muslims down here, or France, or England, or somebody else in Europe. If you're behind on administrative tech, then you don't have as many national ideas. That's the main draw of being behind on administrative tech, is that you're kind of going to start lagging behind on how many ideas you have. And if you're behind on diplomatic tech, you're going to be behind on stuff like trade range, trade efficiency. It also adds on better boats that you can build. So, say you have an early Carrack, which is the first level, like a heavy ship, and your opponent has the next level of heavy ship, you're probably not going to fare as well in a naval battle. Also, if you're behind on diplomatic technology, your subject nations, which we don't have any of right now, are going to be more likely to revolt against you, which is not a good thing. If you're behind on administrative tech, no sort of penalty like that, but if you're ahead on military, or rather administrative tech, you do get like production bonuses. If you're ahead on diplomatic tech, you get a trade bonus. If you're ahead on military tech, you get a butt-kicking bonus, which is basically, the opposite of being behind. If you're ahead of somebody, you can probably do more with less troops and kick everybody else's butt. But if you're ahead on any of the techs, there's a penalty for leveling up anymore. So this will show, plus 50%, plus 100%, plus 200%. I'm not sure how high it goes, but it can go pretty high. So you're sinking a lot of points into getting the same thing that you could get later for the same amount of points. So you're essentially wasting points. What do you do instead of wasting those points? Well, you can't really a lot of the time just sit on the points, because if you're, a Western European nation, you can only bank 999 of each point. It actually says at the bottom of the tooltip there, you can only keep 999 power saved. And then you're wasting points after that because it's trying to bring up your points and you're up against the ceiling. The thing to do generally if you are ahead of time on SEC is to use your points to buy your national ideas. You can see that we're going to unlock a group of national ideas at Tech Level 4. That's for Administrative Tech. And if we click on this, we can show the potential of what we can get. Each column here, this uses administrative points, this uses diplomatic points, this uses military points, and they all more or less have to do with whatever's in that slot. So administrative points are going to help you with your government, with expansion, with stuff like that. Diplomatic is going to help with trade, colonization, navy, and then your military ideas are going to help with your military tactics, how good of generals you can get, how good of military fighting, or rather naval fighting stats you can get, stuff like that. So each one of these has 7 different ideas. Once you use the 7th idea, once you unlock that 7th idea, you also get this little bonus that's in the light bulb here. So for defensive military ideas, you get +1 attrition for enemies when you complete this entire group. For offensive ideas, you get +5% army morale recovery speed, and there's bonus for every single one of these. So that will definitely, actually I forgot something, that will definitely help you have somewhere to put your points if you are behind, or if you're ahead on your technology. Every time that you unlock 3 different ideas, not necessarily even from the same group, but 3 ideas in general, go back to here, you unlock one of your national ideas. So we start off at the very beginning of the game, you get 2 traditions. For Portugal, it's 5% trade efficiency, 30% trade range. After you unlock 3 ideas, you get 25% colonial range. After you unlock all of these national ideas, you get your ambition, which in the tooltip you can see is +20% global tariffs. That's basically how much money you're making off of overseas colonies. So it's very oriented with Portugal around trade colonization, which you would kind of expect. So anyway, that's the very, very basics of what you do in this game on a sort of month-by-month basis. Which I kind of forgot to mention is that this is how much you're making in monarch points per month. So if I up the speed here and I unpause, we're going to get a bunch of pop-ups about people getting alliances right off the bat. Getting another pop-up and another pop-up. And you can see on December 1st, we had an autosave and it increased our points. Basically everything in this game syncs up kind of on the 1st of the month. You can go by day by day, but on the 1st of the month and sometimes on the 1st of the year on January 1st is when pretty much everything updates. So you've got money updates on 1st of the month, manpower increases or decreases on 1st of the month. Tied in with that is that your military, your armies reinforce on 1st of the month. Your prestige updates on 1st of the month. So right now our prestige is going down by 1/4 of a point per year. So actually, sorry, that's per year. And then legitimacy goes down by 2 per year because we're in a Regency console. Power projection is generally yearly, but almost everything else 1st of the month. I think the AI kind of reconsiders their diplomacy actions on the 1st of the month, but a lot of stuff happens. You gotta wait until the 1st of the month. Trade, anything that happens in trade nodes and stuff, which we're gonna go into earlier or later. Updates on the 1st of the month. So that's the very basics of what you need to know before you start off in this. This tutorial series is going to be a few videos long, about 5 videos long. Next video we're going to go into diplomacy and war. So I'll be in that video. I hope to see you there too. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or suggestions, please do comment at the bottom of the video. Like, subscribe if you want to. Thank you, and I'll see you later. Bye.